How you doing, everyone? Welcome. It's Jonathan from the Big Apple Film Festival. Good to see you. Hi, Mark. This is Mark Harris we have with us. How you
I'm
doing?
doing
All right, great to see you. So
great. How you doing?
good. Thank you. Thank you. So
Awesome.
Mark is with us today to talk about film distribution, and Mark has had quite a bit of success in the world of distribution. He has partnered with AMC Theaters for the theatrical release of his film, Black Coffee. Some of his other films include My First Love, Couples Night, amongst many others. He's had films released on various platforms, including Netflix and Amazon and Tubi, BET, Voodoo. He's just had a lot of success in the world of distribution. He's had work distributed through the traditional distributors, as well as self-distributed his own work as well. So that's my brief introduction. But now I'd like to ask Mark if you want to talk a little bit about your background, how you started, and sort of how you got to where you are now.
First of all, I want to thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it very
Sure.
much. But I started in the film business, actually, well, not in the film business, but as a director. Actually, I don't want to say by accident, but it was by fate. So I didn't growing up. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I definitely didn't know that I wanted to make films, but I always had a love for movies. Coming from Chicago, John Hughes. I was a big fan of his work, of course, from Breakfast Club, 16 Counties. So I was just a big fan of his work. But I knew I had always had a love for movies, and I always used to make these different movies in my head when I was young. So it wasn't until around 1997 when I decided what I wanted to do is I wanted to take a shot at actually writing screenplays. So I went out, bought Sid Field's book, Screenwriting, went to Borders Bookstore, purchased some books on screenwriting, and also I purchased the Final Draft program at the time. I purchased a computer and I just started writing or teaching myself how to write screenplays. But it wasn't until 2005 that a director who's a good friend of mine and still is a good friend of mine, he had promised that he was going to that a script. If I wrote the script for him on spec, we all know what spec is the fact that it was going to be the next project that he was going to do, but it wasn't the next project that he produced. And luckily for me, it wasn't, and I didn't know, I didn't see the blessing in that at the time. And so when he went into production on another project, I was like, okay, you know what? If I want to tell my stories, I have to do it myself. So I went out, I hired me a DP at the time, and I brought the cast together, some crew together, made my first film called Why Do Men Cheat, which was never released. And from that point, it was like that was in 2005, and from that point on, from nonstop until this is like the first year, 2019, that I haven't made a feature film. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, one of the what's really great. I mean, you mastered this concept of self-distribution. A lot of filmmakers are, curious about whether or not they should go through a traditional distributor or self-distribute. And one of the things that you've been so successful at is self-distribution. I guess the question is, like, what are sort of the benefits of self-distribution versus traditional distribution, and vice versa? Is there a benefit to go one or the other? Would one maybe you'd recommend?
Well, I think how it depends on what you want to do in your career. If you want to take full control of your career and how you make films and when you make films, I say you can do it through traditional distribution as well, but you can do it through self-distribution. Of course, when self-distribution, you have to look at you can put your film on Amazon Prime or those different platforms, right? But you still need to find clever ways in order to market the film in order for to get a return on your investment, or else you're not going to make a lot of money on your project. So is totally based off how much marketing you're willing to do for your film, and how much, because at the end of the day, it's all about making money to make more films. And so the benefit for me is when I started to do self-distribution, and I haven't done self-distribution in quite a while. My last film was I Used to Love Her, because after that we did a film called Black Butterfly, which was put out through E1 Entertainment. But during that time, DVDs were hot. Now we didn't have streaming. The streaming platforms were not. You had Indie Flix, which is a company that I went through back. This was maybe like 12, 13 years ago. Then you had it was another one, CD Baby. I think it was CD Baby. That Amazon actually bought out. So those were like the only two streaming. Then you had Netflix, but Netflix wasn't as big big at that time. People we actually looked down on Netflix when it was from streaming platforms. So you had all of those avenues. So I took advantage of those avenues. So I had went to my first film, my first couple of films were on Netflix. This was before the whole streaming process, because Netflix, of course, it was doing DVD at the time. But we released it on IndieFlix, which is my films were like the #1 films were on IndieFlix, because we used to market, we used to promote, and that's how we made our money. But the bigger part of how we made money is actually releasing our films on DVD. So what I would do is I would have different events. Like I would do a poetry event, but I would tailor the poetry event around selling the DVD. So I would sell maybe 200, 250 tickets to a poetry event. I would sell like $25 for this event. And with the event, you get food, you would get the entertainment, and also you'll get a copy of the DVD. And so that's how we were able. So I sold like 10,000 of those. And Amir Rob, who was the lead actor in I Used to Love Her, just reminded me, he's like, Mark, we sold way more than 10,000. But personally, by myself, I sold 10,000. He was actually out there selling DVDs as well. And that's how we were able to continue to make movies over and over again.
Right. So let me jump over here. I know some people have questions. I guess we'll start in the chat box. Brandon said, I self-funded, produced, and distributed my film using Quiver Digital. Cost me around $4,000, but I have just not seen much of a return in my investment. I've got a lot of feedback saying I need to hire a marketing specialist or PR rep to promote the film, but that has also come up short for me, as several have said they are not interested because I am already distributed. I spent thousands of dollars on Facebook ads, but that has not created much return. I just don't know how to get people to watch it and invest their time and $3.99 to rent it. We're on Amazon, Xfinity, Google Play, Microsoft, and Apple TV. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and don't have any connections to bridge me to my next step. What should I do to get my film in front of people and get them interested in watching it? Big question. Any thoughts on that?
That's a great. That's an extremely great question. So I would let me just say, if we hopefully things will clear up in terms of COVID, right? The whole COVID things will clear up. So my thing is, look at what you can do is, because $4,000, I don't want to say it's not a lot of money, but because I don't know someone's pocket, but $4,000, I think that's something that you can, if it's done properly, you can probably make that back within an event. If you have an event, so say for instance, if it's on the streaming platforms, like let's say it's on Amazon, I'm sure he probably put it on Amazon. So let's just say if it's not on Amazon, put it on Amazon Prime, and you can do that yourself. And I don't think you get paid a lot for Amazon Prime, but what you can do is this: say for example, once the whole COVID is over with and we're able to go back to the movie theaters or have different events, even if it's like something that we did with one of my last films that we screened on the garage in back of someone's home. So you can look at a different event, or look at an event where you can actually screen there, and you can tailor something around, say charge maybe $15 to $20 and have people to come out. And whatever your film is about, and I don't know the topic of your film, if it's something, based off the topic of your film, maybe you want to have a panel discussion where you can charge people where they can watch the film and also they can get information at the same time. You could charge between $20 to $25, right? And you can do that maybe 2 or 3 times a month. And that's one way you can actually do 2 things. You can get your investment back that you invested in the project, and also you can help once people come out and watch the film, and there's panel discussions around the film or different events surrounding your film, because what you're doing, you're packaging your film around these different events or panel discussions or whatever the event is, whatever the topic of your film is about. And then you're actually spreading the word about your film. So people who come to see your film, make sure that they do several things. Make sure that they post it on their social media website. Make sure they do a check-in. Let people know, hey, look, this is how you can see this film. This film is great. Go on Amazon and watch this film. So you get enough of those people to come out and watch the film. Let's just say you get over 2 to 3 month time, you get over 1,000 people or even 5,000 people. That's enough people right there who are spreading the word that people say, okay, that's very interesting. Let me go see what this film is about. And I think people would pay $1.99 to watch the film. And that's just one way you can do it in terms of making your money back and then spreading the word so people can see it. Because if we're just depending on Amazon Prime or these different platforms, because they're not going to promote your film. They expect us to promote the film. So if we're depending on them to promote the film, we're just sitting back, we'll never make money off our film. We have to go out there and promote our, promote the films ourselves.
Yeah.
I hope that was.
Yeah. That's certainly, very, very logical. And I was also just wondering, just to follow up with that, you had partnered like with AMC theaters. Speaking about doing like event, you had partnered with AMC for Black Coffee. How does a filmmaker approach a theater chain like that? Like, how does that work if they want to do some sort of theatrical?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so after we did the movie Black Butterfly, we made that movie for about $9,500, and it came out through E1. We're familiar with E1. E1 put, everyone should know who E1 is. They put out the movie where the two, it's like the Lita Wade's film, when the couple, I can't think of the name of that movie now. The couple had tried to escape to Cuba when they shot the police officer. Someone tell me, I can't remember that film, but it's Lita Wade's film. But that's the same company that put out my film Black Butterfly. So when they put that film out, they only made 5,000 copies. And I knew that they needed to make more than, they want, I was like, so how many copies are you all, copies meaning DVDs. I was like, how many copies are you all going to put out? Well, our first one is going to be 5,000. I was like, that's not enough. So they put the first one out and sold out within a day. And it kept selling out, kept selling out, and it was beating out their top films, which is some of their studio films. And so with those numbers, what I did was, my next film was Black Coffee. And I initially sent the screenplay over to E1 to produce the movie, because the guy who actually, Alan Blackwell, who actually picked up the film, he was like, what else do you have next? So I told him Black Coffee. And he looked at the screen, he didn't look at the screenplay, but his assistant looked at the screenplay and said that they passed on it. When they passed on it, I was like, okay, cool. So I took it over to RLJ Entertainment, which was Image Entertainment at the time. And the person that was over Image, who's now still over UMC, which is the Urban Movie Channel, was a guy named Brett Dismute. At that time, I had relationships with Gabriel Dennis, Erica Hubbard, my 5 lead actors. So what I did was I got an attachment letter, a letter of intent from those actors, and I sent that over to Brett. I was like, well, these are the actors that are interested in being in Black Coffee. He said, cool. So within 24 hours, we had a deal on the table to make this film. So that film went out through RLJ Entertainment, which was at the time Image Entertainment, and it was Image who actually. So when we started to do post production, I had no idea that they wanted to take it theatrically. But when we started to do post production of the film, Brett called me up. Well, he sends me an email. He said, "Mark, can you give me a call?" So I called him. He said, we would like to do a theatrical distribution with AMC. He said, we need you to sign off on it. I was like, cool. So it was RLJ Entertainment and who actually signed off on who actually did the deal. But say, for instance, if you would like to approach AMC to get distribution of a theatrical distribution. So on their website, they have something which is called independent, it's called independence. So on their website, go to their website, click on that, and then what you have to do is you have to just fill out the form and you submit the form to AMC. If they're interested in doing a deal with you, then they would definitely do the deal. We did actually we put out 2 films through AMC, which is Over and Over Again, which was a Spanish speaking film, and we did Black Coffee as well.
Sorry. Thomas asked, what are the chances of a small independent filmmaker making back their costs in producing a film, assuming they have a distributor? If they get a distributor, what are the chances you'll actually make back your money?
I always, when filmmakers ask that question a lot, I always say this: get as much money upfront as possible, because after that, you may have to, definitely have an attorney to look over all of your paperwork, and within your contract, make sure that you place in your contract ways that you have to audit the distribution company, because we know most distribution companies, not all, but most of them, are not honest when it comes to accounting. So you want to make sure that you get all of your money up front, and first and foremost. And if a distribution company doesn't want to give you anything up front, make sure that you put in, you structure the deal, maybe like in 3 months or 6 months or even a year. If the film doesn't, if you don't make any money off the film, that the film the rights to the film reverts back to you. So therefore you're covered, because what happens is the fact that distribution companies, if the film is doing well, they're going to pay you, because one of the things is, it's like, it's better to have something than nothing. So they're going to pay you something. And also when we're doing films, if we don't have named actors in the film, make sure that we tailor the budget where we can say, okay, I can. So what I would do, times are kind of different now because of the whole COVID. But what I would do, I was always tailor my budgets when I'm going out to raise the money myself, to know that, okay, if I have to do self-distribution of this film and take it to four wall, it means that you're going out and you're paying the theater the theater to actually screen the film, but everything that comes through the door, we have done that on plenty films. So I knew that I'm going to tailor my budget. Whereas if I have to do self-distribution for this film, I know that I can go out and screen this film myself. I can four-wall it, and I can make my money back. So you have to tailor your film and the budget of your film to know that, okay, if this happens, if I don't get distribution, this is what I have to do. But if you already have distribution for the film, make sure you get as much money upfront as possible.
Now, let's just say you sign with a small distributor. They don't give you any money up front, which I guess some small distributors don't. How does it usually work in terms of the split? Do most distributors take a pretty large percentage overall? Can a filmmaker expect to make a decent amount if they sign with a traditional distributor without any major advance or anything like that?
Yeah, to be honest with you, when it comes to like the smaller distribution companies, and you're talking about distribution companies that when they don't want to give anything up front, it's more than likely you may not see anything at all. That's why I always encourage filmmakers, to get money up front, especially when it comes to the smaller distribution companies, because more than likely, if you don't get anything up front, because what they do, they hit you with the marketing budget. Mm-hmm. So what ways to get around it is to say, okay, you want to do a 70-30 split, meaning I get 70, you get 30. Mm-hmm. First dollar in, meaning that the first time that movie makes money, I get paid my 70%, you get paid your 30%. A lot of distribution companies may not want to do that. So another thing you do is cap the marketing fee, because they always want to come in with $100,000, $150,000 for the marketing fee. And we know that these companies are not spending $100,000, especially the smaller distribution companies are not spending $100,000, $150,000 to market your film. It's just not happening. They're not, like, if you make a film for $30,000 or $50,000 or $100,000, why are these companies going to spend $150,000 to market your film? That's not going to happen. But they put it in a contract. So what you do is you say, okay, I need to see in your contract, I need to see where you're spending my money, because it's your money at the end of the day, because they recoup that marketing fee. I need to see where you're spending it at, and then you kept the marketing fee at $25,000, and therefore, $25,000 is reasonable, because they may not even spend that, but you still at the end of the day want to know where they're spending that money. So if they're spending $10,000 on a trailer or $5,000 on artwork, you want to see and you want to do a deal where you have to sign off on every marketing expense, because the way these companies take advantage of filmmakers, the fact that they say, I'm going to spend this amount of money on marketing in order for you to receive anything, then I have to recoup the marketing fee. So give you a prime example. Even though you do a 70-30 split or 50, let's just say you're doing a 50-50 split with the marketing company, or with the distribution company. And so on paper it says a 50-50 split. Then what they do is they say, okay, I have to do a 25%, they do another 25% distribution fee. So that means that the 25% distribution fee means that what they do is before anybody sees any money, before you get your 50% and they get their 50%, they take 25% off the top. So if a dollar comes in, they taking 25% of that dollar, and that's for distributing your film. And whatever's left over for that 25%, they're going to take another percentage to recoup for marketing. Then once what is left over from them taking their 25% distribution fee, once they take their marketing costs, and once they take, then they say, okay, there's a split of 25%. But by the time they take the marketing expense, you don't have anything coming back. The film is still being in the red. So it's best to make sure that when we do deals, make sure that we kept the marketing fee, make sure that we take out the distribution fee, or lower the distribution fee, because nowadays some companies want to charge 25 to 35%. So lower that distribution fee as well, and so forth. You can maximize your chances of getting your 50% back.
Right. Cool. Thanks. So Art asks, Art says, I have a completed documentary that's won 78 awards to date, and we are looking for distribution. This is an educational historical film on why Shakespeare wasn't the author of Shakespeare's works. It's 99 minutes long. There's his website, groundbreakerfilms.com. What ideas do you have on self-distribution, streaming, VOD, finding a distributor, and an agent? Any thoughts for a historical, educational documentary?
Oh yeah, I think something like that would easily, if the sound is great, of course, and I think a lot of times we independent filmmakers, we lack on sound. Sound is very important. It won 78 awards, so I'm sure that the sound is great on it. Because it won so many awards, we know that the film is really, really great. I'm sure that only thing he has to do is get it in the right hands, and Netflix would definitely. This is something Netflix, I think, would definitely pick up. Especially and it's catchy too. Like, why Shakespeare is not the author of his works. That's something that I think they would be interested in.
Yeah. We were also thinking like maybe PBS, maybe as another option.
Oh yeah.
Educational kind of thing. And actually,
yeah. So I'm sorry. So here's the difference: is like Netflix. Of course, Netflix pays more. And there's a much wider audience. I mean, if you can get to PBS, cool, but I think Netflix, when it comes to pay, they pay very well.
Right. And then in regards to that, Brandon has a question too, and it actually kind of connects to the previous question. How does one set themselves up to pitch to a distribution company with a finished movie? How do you get ready?
I'm sorry. What was the question? My apologies.
How does one set themselves up to pitch to a distribution company with a finished movie?
Okay, so what I do, I have a sales agent, and I use a sales agent because what happens that sales agents, right, have relationships with these companies, and distribution companies are more open to dealing with people that they're familiar with, because they know they don't like to deal with a one-on-one with filmmakers. Because they know they're going, if you're dealing with 30 filmmakers, it's easy to deal with one sales agent with 30 films than 30 different filmmakers with 30 different films. It's just too hectic right now, period. So they prefer to deal with the sales agent who has 30 films, and it just, and also when it comes to dealing with filmmakers, so let the sales agent deal with the deliverables. And the deliverables is the hard drive, the artwork, the trailer, the paperwork. And so my suggestion is always find a sales agent and make sure that the sales agent that you find is open to the type of films that you make, because some sales agents may like to deal with comedy, some may like to deal with urban, but just make sure that that sales agent has the relationships and stuff like that, and they can definitely get into the right hands.
All right. Yeah. So Richard says here, and again, I'm going to connect a bunch of questions here. Actually, Richard said I have a short.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, Richard has a short film that has done 2019-2020 film festival circuit and was selected to 8 festivals, won multiple awards. My goal is to get it in front of someone that can make me distribution and get it made into a feature. I've tried contacting several players via email to attend the festivals or to get a meeting, but no response. What suggestions do you have, or people or companies I can contact? Now, you had mentioned about the sales agents. So this is followed up with, how do you find and get a sales agent? And Art also said, should we get an agent? If so, how do we find one? So basically, yeah, how do you get a sales agent? How do you get in front of these distributors?
Okay, so to find actually a sales agent a sales agent is different than a regular agent. And it's like a sales agent. As a matter of fact, they're looking for you to find them, and especially if you have a completed project. As long as you have a completed film and they feel that they can sell that film, then you have a sales agent. If they feel like they can't sell that film, they may know someone who may be able to sell that film, but more than likely, if the film is a feature film, I'm sure they can find some type of placement for it. Now, one of the ways you can find a sales agent is if you go on IMDb Pro, look at a film that's similar to your film. If you look at a film that's similar to your film, you go on the IMDb Pro and you look at the distribution companies. And once you look at the distribution companies, they more than likely tell you who the sales agent of that film is, and then what you do is just, send an email to that sales agent and with your trailer, and if they're interested, they would definitely give you they would definitely respond. So a sales agent and actually an agent, they're different. They're not the same. A sales agent would definitely represent your film if it's a completed film and if they feel like they can sell it.
Cool.
But you had a question about short too, right?
Oh yeah, he has a short, so he wants to get it turned into a feature. Real quick, I just put in the chat box, some sales agents that I know personally or know of. So I put those in there. You can write, I don't know if you want to write those down or something. Yeah, I don't know, Mark, if you know anyone, feel free to type it in there as well. But yeah, the other question was about a short film, getting it made into a feature. Is there a way to make that happen? Any options for that?
Yeah, so one of the things is it depends on the buzz surrounding the short film, and so if you just sending your short film out to these production companies, more than likely then they're not going to. There's a 98% chance that they're not going to be interested in making your short film into a feature if there's no major buzz around it, because they have so many other projects on their plate that why take on something else when if there's really no buzz surrounding. If there's a buzz surrounding your short film, then you have production companies coming for you to look into make your film into a feature film. This is what I always suggest to filmmakers, is to go out, look for investors, even if you're getting 10 people together who can come up with $5,000 or $10,000 or $7,000.
It's 1 o'clock.
And get these people together, and what you can do is from that point make your movie for either $150,000 to $200,000, even if you're making it for $75,000. What you want to do is you want to get that project made and make it and package it in a very professional way, meaning that you want the production value to be strong, you want the sound to be strong, you want the acting to be solid, you want the story to be solid. If you got those elements, more than likely you're going to get some type of distribution, because in this day and time, with there's now we're in the midst of a streaming war between Netflix and Disney and Hulu. There's like a streaming war, and everybody's looking for content. So if you have those elements in place, more than likely you're going to get a distribution, and not only get distribution, but people are going to pay for your film.
Now, so Richard says here, his film, it's about mental health and suicide prevention in the Black community. So that's his film. So is there a specific way he could reach this market? Is there a specific type of distributor that would be good to approach for this particular market?
And this is a short film, right?
Yeah, I believe this is a short that he wants to ultimately. Yeah, it's a short film that I guess he wants to make into a feature. Yeah.
Well, I think that's an easy sell right now, because here's why that's an easy sell. I think what he can do is go on IMDb Pro and look up Taraji Henson's agent, because Taraji Henson, what she's doing now is she's getting heavily involved in mental illness within the Black community. Send the agent that short film and see what happens from there. Or what you can do is reach out to the Urban Movie Channel, which is UMC, and they have, if you go on their website, they have contact information. And this is something that they may have interest in, because it's dealing with mental illness within the Black community. And that is a hot topic now that everyone is talking about. And I think that could be an easy sell, because one of the things that UMC, one of the things that they're doing is they're picking up short films as well. And it may be something they may have interest in picking up in terms of distribution.
And should Richard go to an agent or a sales agent? Should you go to a sales agent first to try to get in the door? Some of these.
Well, I think with UMC, I think they have an open door policy. If you just go on UMC Urban Movie Channel and email them, and if you go on their website, they have a submission, a link where you can submit your project, and you can submit to them. It's an open door policy, and if they're interested in the short film, and I think that this is something that they may have strong interest in, because it's a topic that everyone is talking about now. And that I think that is something that they definitely would want to pick up, and maybe even turn into a feature. You just never know.
Right. So it's relevant basically, and the relevance.
It's very relevant. Oh yes, Taraji Henson has been she was wanted to do like a tour or something, deal with mental illness, and so it's a hot topic now within the Black community.
Right. So Robin asked a question here in the Q&A box. To whom at Netflix should I contact as a documentary filmmaker? She said it's hard to determine where the chain of command starts. So how do you navigate? How do you navigate that?
I wouldn't reach out to Netflix at all. What I would do is because Netflix would never respond to filmmakers. They normally, again, it's a company that's a monster, and what they're more than likely going to do is instead of reaching out directly to Netflix, reach out to like a production company that deals with Netflix, and that's better than reaching directly out to Netflix. And it's a documentary as well, right? She says a documentary, and it's already completed.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, it's a completed documentary, and she's trying to figure out how to work the whole Netflix.
Right. Yeah, so my thing is go through a sales agent. Again, this is a situation where it's look at whatever the topic your document, look at whoever is putting out documentaries, right? Well, production companies putting out documentaries. Like a company named Film Movement, they really good in putting out documentaries. And they're very open. Michael Rosenberg is an amazing. He actually gave me my first distribution deal over at E1 when he was at E1. He's over at Film Movement now, and they put out a lot of documentaries. And he's very open. If he's interested, he would definitely put the film out. And go to Film Movement, and I think they also have an open door policy where you can submit as well. And he would definitely may show interest in that, and then he can get it on the different platforms like Film Movement. Not only do they put films out through Netflix, but they also have their own streaming platform that they could release their films out through. And they're very open and great people to work with. He's like one of the greatest guys that I've worked with in this industry.
Cool. Yeah, well, Robin's film, she says, is an award-winning film. So hopefully, maybe Michael and the team at Film Movement would be interested. So Cool. Thank you. Thank you. It's called, oh, her, and just, you know, her film is called Love Wins. If you want to
No,
check it
okay,
out.
oh, that's a good title.
Put the website in the chat box. Love Wins. I had a question about name talent. Like, you know, obviously we know that it certainly helps with distribution if you have name talent in your film. So in looking at, you know, some of your projects, you know, I mean, you've got people like Gabrielle Dennis and Darren Henson, and you got Pooch Hall and Clifton Powell, and, you know, people that have been in, you know, been in some pretty big films. How would you recommend if an independent filmmaker go about getting name talent like that? I mean, you've been able to attach these you know, these actors. How would an independent filmmaker just starting out maybe get a name actor like that?
Well, from my experience, is always like from my experience, the way I was able to get talent is through networking and through relationships. Because when Gabrielle Dennis, before she started to play Whitney Houston, before she did all the big stuff, we did a comedy show back in 2005 called Cutting It Up, and she was like one of the artists, and we always kept in contact. And so when it was time for me to do Black Coffee, she was like the first person I reached out to get her letter of intent. And with Darren Henson, the same thing. With Lamar Rucker, I met Lamar Rucker at a film festival, and I was like, we got to work together. So we exchanged information, exchanged numbers. Then when it was time to work together, I reached out to him. I got the letter of intent. So the best way to get actors attached to your project is reach out to their agents. If you don't have like a direct contact with the talent, reach out to their agents. Let them know that you're able to get, you know, that you would like for them to read the screenplay and to get attached to your project. And if they're attached to your project, that you can go and you can get the money. Now, say for instance, if you're able to get the money, you know, we have to be completely upfront and honest with the talent, with everybody in this business, period. If you're able to get money from, if based off talent attached, make sure you get a letter from your investor, right? It's basic with letterhead, basically saying, if you get this talent attached, that they will give you the money for your film. So what you do is you send an offer letter to the talent agent, and you send that letter from your investor to the talent agent, and you say, okay, I can get the money to make this film. This is what I will offer your actor if your actor were to be in my film. And 9 times out of 10, because money talks, the talent agents, they're going to respond because you have that letter basically saying, okay, this is I can get this movie made based off if I get this talent attached to my project. Now, once the actor reads the screenplay, or once the actor reads the screenplay and they say, okay, we want to make this movie, what happens next is you have to get that money from your investor, right, in order to put it in the escrow account in order to pay the talent, pay or play. That simply means that if the film gets made or not, you still have to pay the actor something. Just, you know, whether the film gets made or if it doesn't get made. So that's the chances we have to take once we get these actors to sign a letter of intent. But it's definitely like, if you can get the money from your investor, make sure you get that letter so you can send it to the talent agent with an offer letter, basically stating that, you know, this is how much you would pay the actor. And then what happens is that actor will give you a letter of intent that you can take back to your investor and say, okay, if you give me this money, this actor says that they will be a part of my project.
And, you know, just again, in terms of this whole streaming world, one of the, you know, one of the platforms I see it coming up a lot now is Tubi. And I know you've had some projects on Tubi. How does Tubi differ in compared to the other platforms that are out there, in terms of like how you the profitability? How do you recoup your costs through Tubi? Is that advertising? Is that a paid platform? How does that one work?
Okay, so Tubi is okay. So you have Tubi. Tubi is called AVOD, which is advertisement video on demand. So the way the filmmakers get paid in Tubi they pay very well. Tubi is owned by, I believe, Fox, the Fox network. So Tubi is one of the companies that pay very well, but you get paid off the number of watches, so it's based off the advertisement. Unlike, Netflix is considered the SVOD, which is just streaming video on demand. And then you have video on demand, which is like Amazon, where you could stream and you just pay like the $1.99. So, but Tubi is considered the AVOD, which is the advertisement video on demand, whereas again, you get paid based off advertisement.
Where do you find filmmakers find more financial success? Through transactional VOD, where people have to rent it and pay like $2-3 for a download, or the advertising, or the subscription thing like Netflix? Where do you think overall filmmakers are doing better?
It depends. It all depends. You can release a film yourself, and give you a great example of I can't think of this guy's name. He's an Indian guy who did you may know who he is. He did a documentary called Trump's Rule or Trump's Law, something like that, about Donald Trump. And he has been the #2 streaming documentary for the last month or so. But he did self-distribution for that film, so he's making crazy money. So his film is outperforming studio films. So he's making a lot of money.
What was it
doing self-distribution?
What's the title on it again?
I think it's called Trump's Law or Trump's Rule or something like that. But it's the #2. Okay. If you Google it, it's like the #2. It's been like the #2, #3 top streaming film for the last month or so.
Really? We're on Amazon?
On Amazon, on Apple, on most of the top streaming platforms. Yeah, also if you go on YouTube too, it's been like one of the top. It's been like #2 on YouTube. At one point it was #1.
Yeah.
Then it goes from #1 to #2, #3. But he did self-distribution, so he made a great deal of money off doing self-distribution. Now, you can do a deal with Netflix, and they can just only give you $5,000-$10,000. But it's on Netflix. You may even see more eyes. You may be more people may be aware of it. Whereas you're only going to walk away with that. 10, 15, 20, or $100,000 from Netflix, whereas you have a Netflix deal, which again more people may see eyes on it, but then you have another guy who's actually doing self-distribution, and the money is going directly to him, and it's like the #2 streamer is outperforming even Netflix stuff. So it just all depends on It just all depends on the performance of the film. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. It's like wherever your placement is, whether it's Netflix, whether it's YouTube, it's just how it performs.
Right. All right. So we just have about like 2 or 3 minutes left here. I just want to quickly just get to these last 2 questions. Richard asks, is the American film market a good place to seek distribution? Have you been to AFM? And if you have,
no, I've never been there.
Okay.
Do
you know if film markets are overall good place for distribution?
I couldn't even tell you. No.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And just so, they're a bit different than film festivals. You have a booth and you're out there trying to market it. And it's pretty much just it's not so much a film festival. It's really just a place to meet distributors and sales agents and things like that. And really just to try to sell or license your film. And AFM, the American Film Market, is one of them. And then the other question is, Art asked, any good resources, like a books or website, to learn self-distribution?
Yes, definitely. You can go to Indie Film Hustle, and just which is a free YouTube vlog site on YouTube, Indie Film Hustle, and you can just listen to the different filmmakers who are doing self-distribution. Film Courage is another place you can go and look up. You can get all this information. Like YouTube is a great resource to find different information and things like that on doing self-distribution. It's a great resource.
Yeah, totally. I'm a big fan of Indie Film Hustle. I'm definitely a big fan of Indie Film Hustle. I'm a big fan of Film Courage, all the ones you just mentioned. Last question, real quick before we go. Can you monetize a YouTube film and make similar money to Netflix?
You cannot monetize it. YouTube has laws and rules that you have to follow before it is monetized. That means that you have to have a certain amount of subscribers or a certain amount of minutes. And once you have a certain amount of subscribers, I think it's 10,000, I believe. So I could be wrong. Or a certain amount of minutes, then they'll allow you to monetize it. And once you monetize it, then you can start making money off of you can start putting content on it and start making money off of that, off of YouTube. And that's the direction we're going into, as a matter of fact.
Right. Cool. All right. So yeah, I mean that wraps it up. That's all the time for today. But you know, you have filmmakers that may want to like ask you other questions or maybe tell you something about their film and keep in touch with you, and even check out your films as well. Do you have a website that I could put in the chat box?
Yes, it's 15.
Contact you and.
Yes, it's 1555 Filmworks, 1555 Filmworks. That's my website. There's a place also you can send emails and things like that. And if you like to, for those who have finished feature films, make sure you have a copyright on it. And if you're looking for some type of distribution for it, send it to me and I'll try to put it into the right hands. I'll try to not try, but what I would do is I would send it over to my sales agent to see if we can definitely get some type of distribution for it.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. That's the website, right? 155filmworks.com. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, awesome. That's great. And you know, hopefully, maybe after the holidays, you can come back on. We could do another conference or something. You know, I'm sure there are a lot more filmmakers that would love to hear from you and ask you questions and all that.
Anytime. Just let me know. Send me an email, and I'm here. I truly appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it, and thank you all for being here. And happy holidays. All right.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye bye.